and the Associate Justices of the Supreme Court of the Philippines. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, all persons having business before the Honoree Supreme Court of the Philippines shall give their attention, for the court is now in session.
Please remain standing for the doxology to be led by Mr. John Christopher Lampas Peralta and Mr. Timothy John L. Peralta, as well as the singing of the Philippine National Anthem and the Supreme Court hymn by the Supreme Court Choir.
Indio siguro.
You may now be seated. Your Honor, called for this morning's special and bank session is a unique, hybrid, both actual and virtual retirement ceremony of an outgoing Chief Justice of the Philippines, the Honorable Diosdado M. Peralta. Serving as Master of Ceremonies is Mr. Justice Marvic Mario Victor Leonen.
With your leave, Your Honors, May I ask the Chief Justice to kindly descend and take his place of honor. Also with your leave, your honors, and by operation of our order of precedence per our internal rules, may I ask the Honorable Senior Associate Justice Estela M. Perlas Bernabe to take the helm of this court as we honor the Chief Justice of the Republic of the Philippines. May I have the floor, Madam Acting Chief Justice. Thank you. The Chief Justice of the Republic of the Philippines, the Senior Associate Justices of the Supreme Court, former Chief Justices and Associate Justices of this Court, members of the Cabinet, esteemed colleagues in Congress, our esteemed Ombudsman and his staff, members of the constitutional organs, our fellow public servants, Your Excellencies, Your Honors, fellow seekers of justice. May it please the Court. We gather today in this special session of the Supreme Court en banc to honor an extraordinary individual, the Chief Justice of the Republic of the Philippines. A year ago, humanity started to face this onslaught of a global pandemic. It has left every community limping, and the judiciary was not left unscathed. We continue to show our resiliency, drastically reducing our operations, physically closing courts if needed, adopting hotlines for urgent cases, expanding the scope of video conferencing to its current tentative norm, keeping track of those who are infected by COVID-19 among our ranks, coming together to provide aid to those affected. It is not an easy road. Nothing meaningful in life is. But the Peralta Court has and still is making the judiciary thrive, if not excel. Despite the odds, we dispense justice, maintaining the place of this institution as a pillar of democracy. All of this would not have been possible without a collegial and steadfast leadership. For that, our honoree deserves more than just these humble ceremonies. I became his colleague in 2012, his third year in this court. As the most junior justice, I sat at the edge of the deliberation table where Justice Joseph Y. Lopez now sits. During my first en banc deliberations, two of the most senior members were at loggerheads, passionately debating about Arcao. Having come from a successful negotiation representing this government, with this country, largest armed insurgent movement then, I attempted to intervene. Justice Diosdado Peralta then faced me and motioned to me to keep silent. The senior justices needed to vent, and his first non-verbal advice to me then was, given their personalities, it had to happen. Thereafter, in order to relieve the tension, he cracked a joke, which later on led all of us to attend to the business of the day. That was statesmanship. That was wisdom. There would be more to come. I went on to join him as his most senior member when he chaired the House of Representatives Electoral Tribunal. Both of these responsibilities I now shoulder. I watched and learned as he displayed these long years of wisdom and shared his expertise. I joined him in many cases, among which will remain in the annals of our jurisprudence for a long time. Lim, Tulagan, Hugueta, Nakar, and many others will come to mind. During his term, I have been privileged to start with him the process of installing a truly local, digitalized, but secure and proctored national bar examination. Of course, I dissented against his positions many times too, but in all those instances, he had been very patient, listening carefully even if he did not agree. That would mark our friendship through the years. Only a handful know that I am one of his most frequent visitor in his chambers when he was an Associate Justice and even now as Chief Justice. I have sent him many early morning messages designed to be polite and respectful, but urgent and persistent in their content. The last one was actually yesterday. I know that I have added and perhaps caused him a few ulcers these past few months. I claim a few strands of his white hair. That is all me. Yet, again, he has remained patient, strategic in his interventions, personal in his approach, respectful with the opinions of others, collegial in his leadership. The leadership of our honoree in the Peralta court has highlighted the solid, unbreakable unity within our ranks. He has stood with us and defended those among us who were attacked, and I also speak personally. During his incumbency, this court has weathered elements that would so insistently or slyly seek to encroach upon its independence. The significant cases we just decided with unanimity and the statement we have just made that made the national headlines today and yesterday shows that we have remained a solid united front in discharging our constitutional duties. The message of the Peralta Court and beyond is that we will not be swayed by selfish interests. We will continue to protect our judicial independence, protect our ranks, resolve our differences among ourselves only, and discharge unflinchingly the rule of law. Being a chief justice requires not only a mastery of the law, but a humility and solid expertise in handling all sorts of people, to listen mostly, to speak sparingly, to forgive, to remind others of the weighty as well as the humor of life, to acknowledge that others have their opinion and that this can be better. These are only some of the things that we have learned from him. The Chief Justice, Diosdado M. Peralta, is no ordinary individual. He is no ordinary leader. It is fitting, therefore, that we honor him with my esteemed colleagues, and we will now proceed with the reading of the description and symbolisms of the tokens he so richly deserves. To present the Supreme Court flag is our most junior colleague. He has started to share deeply, meaningfully, respectfully in our deliberations. He comes from the right school. I have been asked by some of my colleagues to say that he is the most available for a serious, intimate relationship. May I now call Mr. Justice Joseph Y. Lopez.
Thank you, Chief Marvick. The Supreme Court flag serves as a reminder of what this court represents: justice and equity for all, as best expressed by one of the lines from our hymn. Washed with the color purple, this flag reminds us of our utmost responsibility, which is to bring justice to people from all walks of life. It edifies our service to the law and country so that we may always do what is right. The Chief has certainly done well to live up to these ideas.
To present the Philippine flag is a colleague who considers deeply his positions before making it his own. He cannot only speak, but he can also swoon when given the microphone of a karaoke. May I now call Mr. Justice Ricardo R. Rosario.
The Philippine flag is the symbol of our nation's identity. It is the image of our independence and a beautiful reminder of how we have emerged victoriously as a nation. Through the sun rays and the stars, we are reminded that though divided into over 7,000 islands, we are one and united. The Philippine flag marks our patriotism, and passion for truth and justice, all of which are hallmarked by our honoree.
You can give your 1 minute. Yes.
If I can only say 3 words about Chief Justice Diosdado M. Peralta, it would be dedicated, just, and patriot. CJ Peralta has always been hardworking and efficient, and he expected everyone to follow his lead. Even during the pandemic, when Manila was under ECQ, our Chief Justice continued going to work every day, even at the risk of his own life. He was truly a hands-on justice. His priority was to safeguard the rights of the accused, especially those deprived of liberty. He wanted trials to proceed as far as practicable, and even by video, so as not to prejudice both the victim and the accused. Our chief wanted to reassure the Filipino people that justice will continue to prevail no matter what happens in the world. His love for the law and for his countrymen is unmatched. In addition to his hard work and diligence, our CJ also exhibited a fatherly affection for all of us working under his guidance. I will forever treasure the warm welcome he gave me when I was newly appointed to the Supreme Court. It was indeed a great privilege to have worked with Chief Justice Diosdado M. Peralta. His wisdom and common sense leap out of his ponencias and will serve as beacons for law students, lawyers, and magistrates now and in the years to come. Indeed, he is the epitome of judicial excellence, a man of unquestionable integrity, unmatched mastery of the laws, and faultless dedication and commitment to public service. He is the champion of the legal profession, deserving of the respect and recognition of every lawyer who still believes in the principles of fairness and equality under the rule of law. In his decade of public service, our Chief Justice has consistently shown how to apply the law in the true spirit by which they have been enacted. It should always be the law, and nothing else should matter. He dispensed justice in accordance exclusively with what the law dictates and did not allow any other factor to come into the equation and alter the result. Which is why he gained the trust of sectors having stakes in the judiciary. He has been awarded every recognition and commendation there is to be given for judicial excellence. Not only was his exemplary command of the laws recognized, but the beauty of his ponencias and decision equally did not escape the attention of legal pundits. But there is one side of our Chief Justice that not everybody instantly recognized. But he was able to establish in his stint as father of the judicial department, that while he may be an excellent magistrate, he is also a splendid leader and a compassionate authority with full and sincere concern for his subordinates. As Chief Justice Peralta starts this new chapter in his life outside of the Supreme Court, I want to thank him sincerely for his guidance and leadership during our time together. And on behalf of a grateful court and nation, I wish to convey my gratitude to you for your services to our country. Congratulations on your well-deserved retirement, Chief, and may God bless you and all your future endeavors. Mabuhay po kayo. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Ricky. Before we go to the next token, may I call back Mr. Chief Justice Joseph Y. Lopez. He wants to also pay tribute to the Chief. Nakamute po kayo, Justice Lopez. Justice Lopez, nakamute po kayo. You're on mute. Thank you.
At the outset, let me express my utmost gratitude to the man we are honoring today, Chief Justice Diosdado Peralta. He has been very supportive of me, not only in the last 2 months, but right from the very beginning, as far back as when I was first appointed as Manila City Prosecutor. He was there when I was appointed City Prosecutor, and he was there again as head of JBC when I got to be endorsed and eventually appointed as member of this court. Truly, I am beginning to feel that CJ Peralta was one lucky charm for me. Now, as one who was previously looking at him from the outside, I saw in him a hardworking and dedicated magistrate, a perfect lecturer in criminal law and criminal procedure and all other subjects, an initiator of court reforms, and a highly competent Chief Justice of the court. But now, looking at him as member of this court, I have not only verified to myself that he was indeed a hardworking, patient, and most competent magistrate, and above all, he has an endearing soft spot in his heart for his constituencies in the court, the justices, the judges, the working staff, the lawyer, and practically everyone else in the judiciary. I am really blessed that I could say that even for a short period of 2 months, I was able to work for and to work with the man who has done a marvelous job for the court, for legal education, for the bar, and above all, for the country that we all love so much. Thank you for your services, Mr. Chief Justice. My snappy salute to the Chief. I wish you all the best in your retirement. Maraming pong salamat, Chief Justice Diosdado Peralta.
Thank you, Justice Jolo. We now proceed. To present the Supreme Court pin is a colleague who is steadfast in his positions and has recently shown resilience in overcoming all his challenges. Like the Chief, an Ilocano, but no one can exceed the Chief's ability to gather ingredients, following carefully the instructions of Justice Honoree and cook the most sumptuous Ilocano buffet. May I now call Mr. Justice Samuel H. Garland.
Thank you. In wearing the Supreme Court pin, one bears the gravity of fulfilling their duty to serve, a symbol of pride. It displays the Supreme Court seal along with the mandates and principles of this institution. An everyday reminder of the bearer's time in service to the Supreme Court. It is also a display of pride. Though our honoree leaves his seat, the institution's mandate remains close to his heart. Apo, Chief Justice Diosdado, your stint as Chief Justice may be brief, but it is inversely proportional to what you have achieved for this beloved institution. You are the court's pride. Your valuable contributions in improving the institutional mechanisms to strengthen judicial integrity and capacity, imposing effective measures to safeguard human rights, and introducing innovations to keep up with the times have inspired admiration from the bench and the bar, and have likewise earned the respect of the nation. Further, you have demonstrated fortified leadership skills with the manner you have handled the invisible force, the COVID, which had caused and is continuing to cause fear and anxiety among us. Despite being overwhelmed by difficult tasks, you simply refuse to be defeated You have been a steady pillar for all the employees of the judiciary. You have provided great assurance and hope that in these dark times, the court, under your leadership, will never forsake or abandon its people. Thank you for your hard work and dedicated service. We will make sure that the legacy you leave behind lives on. Congratulations on your retirement, Manong. I am excited for you, and I wish you all the best for the endless opportunities and possibilities that have yet to unfold as you close this chapter in your life. Good luck and God bless, Apodado.
Thank you, Justice Sam. To present the timepiece is serious with his work, but does not fail to remind us of the lighter side of life. Wise in his dispositions and unselfish in sharing his sense of humor, he provides light, metaphorically and physically, to the court. May I call Mr. Justice Edgardo L. de los Santos.
The timepiece serves as a reminder not only to our honoree, but to everyone else, that though we wield power as magistrates, this power is ever finite, and so is the time we have. Trying to outrun time is an exercise in futility. In the end, we will have no choice but to hang our robes, shed our titles, and remove our masks. Only time can tell if we will have done our sacred duty well. Just the same, we put our best foot forward, work to the best of our knowledge and efforts, and hope that we will have done our part. As Chief Justice Diosdado Peralta bows out from judicial service, he will be best remembered for his concern for the welfare of the court employees. This trait is especially highlighted now that we are experiencing a pandemic. His concern and responsiveness to the plight of the employees of the judiciary is a silver lining in these difficult times. The Chief Justice also leaves an important legacy, and that is the guidelines of continuous trial in criminal cases, which resulted in the speedy resolution of cases. His advocacy and concern for the rights of the litigants are hallmarks of his deep respect and obedience in the constitutional mandate that all persons shall have the right to a speedy disposition of their cases, because after all, justice delayed is justice denied. Thank you so much, our dear Chief Justice, for everything you have done to the judiciary. Chief Justice Peralta, Godspeed in all your future endeavors.
Thank you, Justice Edsa. Justice Mario Lopez seems to have been disconnected. I think the technical people are working on it. So we go to the next. The colleague who will present the photo album is young, belonging to my generation, yet a leader in his own right. He crafts his reflections carefully, respectful, and articulate. Sometimes it is on the right side when he votes with me. I now call on Mr. Justice Rodil V. Salameda.
Thank you. The photo album. Our lives are hardly ever static. We are always doing something, always in a rush, always on the move. That perhaps is the curse of one who always hopes to do more. But at times, in the midst of this constant motion, there will be stolen moments that we would be lucky to witness, those now frozen in eternity. The same goes for our honoree today. Over 3 decades worth of government service has produced a myriad of memories encased in the photo album that would attest to his valuable deeds, a celebration of a life well lived. Chief, you are an esteemed figure in the judiciary. The entire legal profession is grateful for the indelible marks you have left, especially in the fields of criminal and remedial laws. Your term in the Supreme Court might end, but your influence continues through the decisions you have penned. Your ability to inspire extends even beyond your term of office. To the young, may you serve as an inspiration for them to take up and become men of law. To the hardworking, honest, and dedicated members of the legal profession, let your resume serve as a reminder that hard work, perseverance, and trustworthiness are a part of the equation that stands the test of time. The entire body of your work can be called a legacy, something I would also want to leave when my stint in the Supreme Court ends. We will miss you, but for now, enjoy your retirement. You can finally wake up without having to rely on the sound of your alarm, or have breakfast and drink coffee without worrying about meetings and deliberations. Just Agina, Chief.
Thank you, Justice Rodil. The next token is fittingly assigned to our next colleague. He is soft-spoken, but his mindfulness of precedent and openness to principled accommodation speaks emphatically of his exemplary character. I call on Mr. Justice Henry Jean-Paul B. Inting.
Thank you, Chief. Chief M. The Book of Decisions. As has been mentioned, our honoree has penned a myriad of decisions that attest to the breadth and depth of his legal aptitude. All these are inscribed in the Book of Decisions, the sum of what we have written, as with those who have came before us and all that will come after us. Indeed, our words are now etched in jurisprudence. As he leaves the court, may he, the honoree, rest assured that he has done his part in fortifying the rule of law, a feat of both intellect and collegiality. The title of the Book of Decisions of our honoree, Epitome of Hard Work, is befitting of his legacy, relative to both the quality and quantity of the decisions and resolutions he has penned for this court. His reputation for producing landmark decisions, as well as his work ethic in substantially reducing the docket, this court is of great renown. He set a high bar for all of us in effectively and efficiently disposing of cases with an even hand and a scholarly touch. As a famous quote tells us, there are three things every man should do during his time on earth: plant a tree, have a son, and write a book. I am not privy to whether our honoree has planted a tree. I will ask him later with proper social distancing. Next, we all know our honoree has exceeded the required number of sons. Finally, let me just say, regardless of whether our honoree has planted a tree, he has planted something worth more than many trees, because the whole body of his written works as a member and later Chief Justice of this court will outlive a tree. It will benefit, guide, and enlighten the present and future generations of law students, lawyers, and other stakeholders in the administration of justice. To end, I wish to express my warmest congratulations to our honoree on his retirement and my utmost gratitude for his invaluable contribution to the growth and development of Philippine jurisprudence. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice. I now move back in the order of precedence. To present the Supreme Court seal is a colleague who also hails from the same region as the Chief and myself. He has displayed his expertise on many matters, many of which is within the fields also shared by the honoree. The teacher's teacher. May I now call on Mr. Justice Mario V. Lopez. Please unmute. Justice Mario, please unmute.
Thank you very much, Mr. Justice Leonen. A seal has a twofold purpose: confidentiality and identity. It ascertains that secrets have not been opened without the sender's authority and the addressee's consent, a guarantee against breach of trust. Likewise, as a marker of identity, the seal holds memories from the inner sanctum of the court, those that happened behind closed doors, never bound by a vow of secrecy. The seal bears symbols of our faith in the reign of law. Our honoree is reminded through that we must strive to always act in the name of the judiciary. If I may now say a piece for the Chief Justice. Apo Chief Justice Dado, may I take this singular opportunity to take pride and honor that I have worked alongside the leadership of AGI, a genuine Ilocano who is energetic, industrious, and hardworking. I am deeply gratified for the unique and inimitable kind of leadership that you have exemplified in the Supreme Court. In our periodic deliberations and official meetings, you always find a way to make us feel easy and comfortable on board by your customary sense of humor and anecdotal stories. Although, Mr. Chief Justice, there are times that you talk too much, but that talking much did not silence us. Rather, it encouraged and stimulated us to participate and express our intellectual concurrence and dissent. Thereby, you have ensured a truly democratic order in our judicial process, where collegiality prevails. At the end of the day, we are amused and gratified that we have accomplished more than what we need to tackle from the agenda. Mr. Chief Justice, I will not dwell much of your superior knowledge of criminal law. I am one of those who learned from you my criminal law when I was still a professor. I will not describe your authority or your exemplary accomplishment. I would only say that you are an astute authority of criminal law. In closing, Mr. Chief Justice, I wish you have many more years of well-earned leisure, sweetened by thoughts of high regard and affection from both the members of the bench and the bar, and still more because of the good and exemplary deeds that you have wrought in your honorable career. God bless you, Mr. Chief Justice. Diyos ti kumuyog kada kayo nga kanayon. Thank you very much.
Agyamana Kaili, Justice Mario. Clearly, the next colleague who will present the Supreme Court pen is one of the favorites of the Chief Justice. Maybe because she comes from the same pontifical school, unflinching in her principles, yet sisterly and motherly always in her approach. I call on Madam Justice Ami C. Lazaro Javier.
Thank you very much, Chief Marvic. The pen is our most powerful tool in exacting justice. Within it lies the incredible power to affect a nation's future. As magistrates, it is our duty to hold the pen carefully. Through the ink it spills, the pen empowers the marginalized, liberates the oppressed, and protects democracy. Wielded carelessly, it may erase the good efforts built through time. Wielded justly, it can bring about the greatest change. May it always be within our honoree's grasp, so that he may wield it to the ends of justice, even after his retirement from the court. Chief, here's honoring your over 3 decades of tireless service to the judiciary and celebrating the legacy of hard work and dedication you leave behind. Whatever plans you pursue in retirement, may you enjoy them all the more, knowing how completely you deserve this happy time of your life. Congratulations, Chief. Best wishes and God bless. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Justice Ami. The brass shingle will be presented by a colleague who marks this court with her wisdom. Rising from the ranks of the judiciary like many of my colleagues, she unselfishly shares her views of the real, the possible, and the practical. I once told her that someone should start to write her biography for generations to come. It is really very interesting. I call on my schoolmate, Madam Justice Rosemary Declaro Caranda. Kindly unmute.
Thank you, Chief Justice Marvick. The brass shingle. The brass shingle engraved with the honoree's name is a symbol of the remarkable legacy he will leave the judiciary. Coated in fine brass, it will serve as a reminder of the degree of professionalism imbued in his leadership, humane, and just service. Chief, a good name is perhaps the most important legacy a parent bequeaths upon his child. It is the same name that indelibly marks his journey through life, and still it is that which he bestows to the next generation. This brass shingle is an approximation not only of the prestige attached to his office, but also of the high degree of professionalism that Chief Dado has exemplified throughout the years of his dedicated service to the public. More than the title, his legacy has been engraved in his ponencias, exuding courage, wisdom, and understanding. Throughout his career, C.J. Dado was never satisfied with just merely going through the every motions of his job. He always attended to his duties purposely to ensure that the work was done fast and it was done right. C.J. Dado, I am truly grateful to have served under your leadership. I wish you good health as you enjoy your much-deserved rest from the work, but I know you can do more beyond your retirement. May the Lord continue to shower you with a blessing as you embark on this new chapter of your life. God bless you, Chief, and your family. We salute you. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Rory. Still the youngest, yet certainly no more junior. Now one of the most senior among my colleagues. My colleague who will present the Supreme Court ring is a true public servant, quick to understand, compassionate in his demeanor, hearty in his laughter, always dependently rising to the occasion when called upon. I now call Mr. Justice Ramon Paul L. Hernando.
Thank you, Justice Marby. The Supreme Court ring
symbolizes devotion and fidelity. This is a fitting gift to our honoree who has devoted his life in the service of the public. He has performed different roles throughout the decades with complete fidelity to the lofty goal of serving justice and protecting our basic rights. His devotion and fidelity to his sworn duty never wavered despite the challenges that the pandemic had brought. Chief, my ninong, my wife, Judge Cherry, joins me in this because you are our ninong during our wedding. Destiny is said to be the inescapable driver of human lives. We often subscribe to the convenient theory of what is que sera, sera, or whatever will be, a form of external control that is wielded entirely by the discretion of somebody else other than our own persons. In your case, you have paved an admirable path, steadily mounting the ranks and ultimately achieving primus inter pares in our nation's Supreme Court. While you have definitely were fated for judicial renown, your accomplishments can never be deemed as byproducts of mere matters of chance. Rightful accolades and distinctions have followed you consistently from the time you joined the bench, primarily on account of your notable contributions to the speedy disposition of criminal cases. Your work is by no means trivial. With court dockets plagued by inefficiencies and the rules of procedures marked by techniques of legal circumvention, you pursued and frustrated its ardent culprits. Not only did you know what and who must be weeded out, you did weed them out. Discussion without active resolution is absolutely pointless for this man of action. I hold a sizable amount of pride and privilege of having served the Filipino public alongside Chief Justice Peralta. He lit the brightest of my professional torches when I took my oath as Associate Justice of the Supreme Court before him. And I also cherish a warm, perpetual feeling of elation of having him as our ninong in our wedding. Chief, you might not remember, but you were my professor in Roman law in my freshman year in law school. And it was in your class that I first came across the word pater familias. You, ninong, has always been a family man, a model of superb parenting, and an icon of what it is to be a good husband. You are to me an uber pater familias. Your guidance to me was significant in my professional and personal journeys, for which I express my most profound gratitude. Ninong, may God's graces and blessings be with you all, together with your family for always. God bless you.
Thank you, Justice Mon. Our colleague who will present the statuette of judicial excellence has checked all the boxes for what an ideal magistrate should be. He goes out of his way to assist others in a quiet, powerful, yet humble manner. His compassion reflects in his writings. He is an apostle that has not given up on atheists and agnostics. I now call upon Mr. Justice Alexander G. Hesmundo.
Thank you, Justice Marvick. The statuette depicts Justicia, the blindfolded Roman goddess of justice, carrying the scales of balance in one hand and gripping a shipboard sword in the other. It embodies justice and authority. The scales represent objectivity, while the blindfold embodies impartiality. The sword represents judicial authority, guided by wisdom, fairness, and soundness of adjudication. May this statuette always serve as guide to our honoree, who has been a prosecutor, judge, and now a member of this court. Through his ponentias and leadership, our honoree has exemplified what just authority means. Mr. Chief Justice Diosdado Peralta, over the years that I worked with you, starting at the Sandigan Bayan and up to this court, you have been generous in sharing with me your legal knowledge and skills, from which I learned a lot. For that, my sincerest thanks. Working with you at times is so stressful, as you are too driven to accomplish a lot in so short a time. But at the same time, it was enjoyable because of your anecdotes, stories, and jokes that made me laugh. On a personal note, I have called you Manong Dado as a sign of respect to an elder brother. That despite occasional disagreements, you have always treated me with respect like a younger brother. Having known you as early as my OSG days, when you were still courting then Miss OSG Audrey Lampas, I must say that you have always impressed me as home-loving and luxurious in a positive way. Manong Dado, I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Justice Alex. The presenter of the next two tokens, the Judicial Robe and the Judicial Medal of Distinction, considers deeply his positions, works collegially, but can be persistent on what he considers a matter of principle or an approach that is both practical, effective, and efficient. He has, on many occasions, spoken so eloquently for this court. I now call upon Mr. Justice Alfredo Benjamin S. Kagiwa.
Thank you, Justice Marvick. First, the judicial robe. The judicial robe signifies the authority and elegance we wear as we perform our sacred duty of protecting the Constitution and serving the people. In its simplicity, the regalia signifies consistency, respect for civic authority, and constitutional fidelity. The purple trimmings represent sovereignty, honor, and dignity. For the last 5 years that I have been a member of the court, I have personally witnessed how our honoree has fully embodied what this robe stands for and carried the burden it holds in its very fabric. Indeed, the honoree has dutifully and fully shouldered the important and grave responsibilities that inhere in being a magistrate of the highest court in the land, and has done so with the self-assurance of one who seems to have been born for the position. Armed with his wit and infectious humor, the honoree has exhibited during his stint as Chief Justice a unique style of leadership that has truly guided the court in these difficult times. A leadership that bespeaks the wisdom born out of the more than 3 decades of public service that have imprinted in him the very qualities signified by the robe: authority and dignity. More importantly, our honoree has exemplified and lived out these unmistakable virtues both with the robe and without. And it is my personal honor to present this token now to him. Now for the Medal of Distinction. traditionally awarded for extraordinary achievements or heroic service, medals are symbols for valor and eminence. Likewise, the Judicial Medal of Distinction is given to members of the highest tribunal who have rendered exceptional service by leaving no aged cases upon retirement. Adorned with a laurel wreath atop a golden sun, the medal, manufactured by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, symbolizes the awardee's noble and tireless commitment to public service by adjudicating cases promptly and upholding the fundamental principle that justice delayed is justice denied. As a member of the highest tribunal in the country's judicial system, I have also witnessed how our honoree has set the prompt administration of justice high above his aspirations for the court. And as a true leader, he has made himself an exemplar of efficiency in the disposition of cases. Yet, beyond the admirable rate at which his cases have been disposed, the honoree's ability to accommodate opposing viewpoints in contentious cases while retaining the respect owed the other members of the bench is even more laudable. Perhaps, more than the allure of the office's stature, the singular fortitude that is required of the court lies in the honest and forthright resolution of the cases. Fully mindful that all controversies timely resolved are of great consequence in the lives of the parties who come before it. In the face of a massive court docket, our honoree has remained steadfast and unrelenting in ensuring that systems are in place to safeguard judicious adjudication of the court's cases. For this, I consider it my privilege to present this Medal of Distinction in behalf of the court.
Thank you, Justice Ben. I now present the gavel. As is tradition, the Master of Ceremonies is immune from any introduction. As a symbol of authority, the gavel is used not only to signal the commencement and closing of court proceedings, but also to call attention and to instill order in the courts of law. With each strike, one is reminded of their humbling journey from passing the bar to becoming erudite jurists whose leadership, commitment, and dedication are worthy of emulation and admiration. I thus present the ceremonial gavel to our honoree in commemoration of his formidable leadership, which instilled order and increased efficiency in our courts, enabling them to dispense justice with haste. Congratulations, Chief. And now, to read and present the plaque of recognition, may I again call on Justice Alexander G. Esmundo. You are on mute, Justice Alex.
Thank you again, Justice Marvick. This plaque of recognition is quite a lot to read. Anyway, Republic of the Philippines, Supreme Court, Manila. The Associate Justices of the Supreme Court of the Philippines present this plaque of recognition to the Honorable Diosdado M. Peralta on the occasion of his retirement as Chief Justice of the Philippines for rendering exemplary public service for the past 40 years, beginning as a councilman of Fairview, Quezon City in 1980, then as Third Assistant City Fiscal in Lawag, Ilocos Norte in 1987, then as Assistant Fiscal, the Second Assistant Fiscal of the City of Manila, for which he was chosen as the most outstanding public prosecutor of Manila for 1991 by the City of Manila. As one of the 5 finalists for Outstanding Public Prosecutor nationwide, given by the Foundation for Judicial Excellence in 1993, and as the most outstanding public prosecutor of the City of Manila in 1994 by the Department of Justice. Then as presiding judge, Branch 95 of Quezon City Regional Trial Court in September 1994, for which he was given the 2001 Special Centennial Awardee in the field of criminal law during the Supreme Court's 100-year celebration, and the 2002 Judicial Excellence Chief Justice Ramon Abansenya Award as Outstanding RTC Judge. Then as an Associate Justice in 2002 and Presiding Justice of the Sandigan Bayan in 2008, and as the 162nd Associate Justice of the Supreme Court in January 2009, and as the 26th Chief Justice of the Republic of the Philippines in October 2019, for being a staunch advocate of continuous trial in criminal cases, which enabled him to decide such cases within the reglementary periods and in accordance with law, jurisprudence, rules of procedure, and the Constitution, such that at the time he was promoted to the Sandigan Bayan, he left only about 25 active cases, down from about 600 cases when he started as a trial judge. For having registered as one of those with most number of cases decided on the merits during his term as Associate Justice, and the most number of cases decided by the Sandigan Bayan during his term as its presiding justice in 2008. Because of the innovations and best practices he introduced, namely the stipulation on the testimony of witnesses, including documentary evidence, and the adoption of affidavits and statement of witnesses as their direct testimony, subject to cross-examination, which greatly reduced the long and tedious presentation of their testimonies. For managing his caseload efficiently and effectively, having disposed of more than 1,300 cases through the full-length decisions and extended resolutions, despite having inherited 1,128 cases, the most number of cases inherited after his appointment as Associate Justice of the Supreme Court in 2009, and leaving no more than 100 cases with zero backlog of aging cases. For writing decisions which were instrumental in shaping our criminal law jurisprudence to the contemporary needs of the times, in shedding light on the outdated aspects of criminal law, and in bringing it ever closer to the true spirit of restorative criminal justice system, including the cases of Corpus versus People, wherein the court ruled on the issue of imposition of the proper penalty for the felony of estafa under the revised penal code, thus paving way for the enactment of Republic Act No. 10951, Dimakuta versus People, wherein the court ruled that probation is not a right, but a special privilege granted by the state to a penitent qualified offender, Estipona versus Librigo, wherein the court declared the unconstitutionality of Section 23 of the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs of 2002, which prohibited plea bargaining in all drugs cases. Hernan versus Sandigan Bayan, wherein the court in relation to RA number 10951 issued guidelines which govern the procedure for action seeking the modification of penalties imposed by panel judgment and the immediate release of petitioner convicts on account of full service of penalty as modified. And in inmates of New Bilibid Prison versus Dilima, wherein the court declared invalid the provision of the implementing rules and regulations of Republic Act No. 10592, which provided for the prospective application of the grant of time allowance of prisoners for good conduct. For diligently serving the House of Representatives Electoral Tribunal, HRET, as member since 2011 and as chairperson from August 2018 until his appointment as Chief Justice, and deciding all protest and quo warranto cases that were filed with the HRED during the 17th Congress and before its term ended in June 2019. For steering the judiciary in the proper direction throughout the COVID pandemic, ensuring that the courts remain open and accessible through policy measures that would guarantee continued access to judicial processes without sacrificing the health, safety, and well-being of the 29,000-strong court officials and employees nationwide. For authorizing the adoption of skeleton staffing scheme in courts, designation of judges on duty, extension of court deadlines physical closures of courthouses, adoption of video conference as an alternative of mode of trial in civil and criminal cases, electronic submission of pleadings and papers. For crafting administrative orders to enable indigent persons deprived of liberty to be released on reduced bail and recognizance, thus allowing the release of a total of 130,843 PDLs as of March 12, 2021, in order to protect them from the infection of COVID-19 if confined in crowded detention cells. For institutionalizing the use of video conference, both in criminal and civil court hearings, which enable the courts to conduct 222,767 video conferences with a success rate of 88% from May 4, 2020 to March 12, 2021. For advocating the automation of court processes and the incorporation of court technology in hearings and trials, such as e-courts, e-raffle, e-subpoena, e-warrants, e-filing, e-service of summons, notices, and e-payment. For imparting his experience and knowledge as resource person of the Philippine Judicial Academy since 2002 in the conduct of skills-based training seminars for newly appointed judges, pre-judicature programs, and continuing legal education for court attorneys, government, and private lawyers, among others, regarding the basic principles of and special issues on the revised guidelines for continuous trial of criminal cases, the rule of procedure on small claims cases, the bargaining in criminal cases, computation of penalties, as well as development and updates in criminal law and criminal procedure, civil procedure, rules on evidence, special rules of procedure on environmental law, and the intellectual property law, the Judicial Integrity Board, and other special rules of procedure where he is either a chairperson or member of the Rules Committee. For establishing the Judiciary Public Assistance Section, which assists and guides the public and court users and receives and promptly addresses complaints against magistrates and court personnel through telephone, mobile phone, text messaging, and email units. For implementing the Judicial Integrity Board and formally organizing it through the issuance of memorandum orders which pave way for the approval of its internal rules of procedure and the provision of its staff, office, and equipment. For streamlining the plantilla of the Judicial and Bar Council, the Philippine Judicial Academy, the offices of the Clerk of Court, and the Division Clerks of Court, the Judicial Records Office, the Public Information Office, the Rollo Room, the Office of Administrative Services, the Fiscal Management and Budget Office, the Program Management Office, the Office of the Bar Confidant, the Office of Halls of Justice, the Medical and Dental Services, and the Library Services, which guaranteed security of tenure and resulted in the regularization and the processing of the regularization of hundreds of long-time casual employees and the appointment or promotion of qualified and deserving personnel. For defending the budget of the Philippine judiciary before the legislature for the past 10 years, thereby ensuring the necessary funds for court operations and reform projects, including the funding for the hazard pay of judges, the Philippine Judiciary Marshal Service, the digitization and regionalization of the bar examination, and other urgently needed allocations in the 2021 General Appropriations Act. For leading and participating in the various Supreme Court committees, which to improve the fairness and responsiveness of the administration of justice, formulated and drafted several numerous procedural rules and guidelines, namely 1, the 2010 Rules of Procedure for Environmental Cases, 2, the 2011 Rules of Procedure for Intellectual Property Rights Cases, 3, the 2015 Rules in the Conduct of Special Sharia Bar Examination, 4, the 2016 Revised Rules of Procedure for Small Claims Cases, 5, the 2017 Guidelines for Continuous Trial of Criminal Cases, 6, the 2018 Internal Rules of the Sandigan Bayan, 7, the 2019 Rule on Administrative Searches, and inspection under the Philippine Competition Act. 8. The 2019 Rules of Procedure for Admiralty cases. 9. The 2019 amendments to the 1997 Rules of Civil Procedure and to the revised Rules on Evidence. 10. The 2019 Guidelines on the use of video conferencing technology for the remote appearance or testimony of certain persons deprived of liberty in jails and national penitentiaries piloted in Davao City. 11. The 2020 Interim Rules on Remote Notarization of Paper Documents. 12. The 2020 Amendments to the Resolution creating the Judicial Integrity Board and to Rule 140 of the Revised Rules of Court. 13. The 2020 Revised Rules of Procedure for Intellectual Property Rights cases. 14. The 2020 Guidelines in the Imposition of Community Service as a penalty. 15. The 2020 Guidelines for the Conduct of Video Conferencing. 16. The 2020 Guidelines for the Conduct of Court Annex Mediation and Judicial Dispute Resolution in Civil cases. 17. The 2021 Rule on Destruction and Disposal of Dangerous Drugs, Other Substances and Instruments prior to the filing of an information. 18. The 2021 Court of Appeals Rules of Procedure in cases of bank inquiry into or examination of deposits and investments, accounts relating to an unlawful activity or a money laundering offense under Republic Act Number 9160 as amended. 19. The 2021 Rule on Asset Preservation, Seizure, and Forfeiture in Criminal Cases under Republic Act Number 9160 as amended. And 20. The 2021 Rules on Action for Support and Petition for Recognition and Enforcement of Foreign Decisions or Judgment on Support. For institutionalizing and adapting the monitoring of cases like the Small Claims Monitoring System and the Continuous Trial Monitoring System, among others, to determine the efficiency of judges in resolving cases within the reglementary period provided by the Constitution, the laws and procedural rules, for ushering the creation of a permanent procurement offices in the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeals, the Sandigan Bayan, the Court of Tax Appeals, the Office of the Court Administrator, and the lower courts, to expedite the acquisition of necessary office supplies, equipment, infrastructure, and services. For spending time to officially visit and talk to court officials and personnel in their respective offices and making court calls to check on the status and the condition of the judges and their personnel in their stations. For reconnecting with the Council of ASEAN Chief Justices and taking active part in its conferences, meetings, reform programs, and training activities. For maintaining close but independent relations with the development partners which support judiciary reform programs. For fostering the empowering projects of the Supreme Court Ladies Circle, SCLC, namely, 1. The institution of the Chief Justice Compassion, Awareness, Education, and Safe Program on Mental Health, CJ Cares. 2. The conduct of mental wellness seminar, workshops, and disaster preparedness seminars for the officials and employees of the judiciary. 3. The conduct of livelihood programs such as basic skills training for the salon industry. 4. The donation drive for the benefit of those affected by Taal volcano eruption in January 2020. And the donation to the PGH Medical Foundation Incorporated on August 12, 2020 and March 2021 respectively. The conduct of online ramage sales as fundraising activities. 6. The publication of the SCLC coffee table book entitled Timeless, which documented the achievements and contribution of the SCLC to the community for the past 52 years. And 7. The establishment of CJ Cares 24/7 hotline, which would provide assistance to those with mental health concerns. For harnessing the human resources, management skills, and techniques he learned from the private sector in fulfilling administrative and supervisory work as a leader of the judiciary, especially amidst the global health crisis. For being a loving son to Catalina Madarang Peralta and faithful to the legacy of Judge Elviro Lasso Peralta. for being a devoted spouse to the Court of Appeals Associate Justice Fernanda Lampas Peralta, and a doting father to Attorney Dorothy, John Christopher, Timothy John, and John Isaac, for being a humble servant of God and of the Filipino people, and holding fast to the values and virtues of the University of Santo Tomas Faculty of Civil Law, for being a source of legal knowledge, wisdom, and inspiration, as well as laughter and good memories to his colleagues, his legal and administrative staff, justices, judges, and court personnel. We express our gratitude and appreciation to our esteemed colleague and dear friend, Chief Justice Diosdado M. Peralta, for his hard work and for the legacy in dispensing justice, in maintaining the rule of law, and in upholding the supremacy of the Constitution, as we say farewell for now and wish him well in his future endeavors. Given this 25th day of March at the Session Hall of the Supreme Court of the Philippines, signed Estela M. Perlas Bernabe, Senior Associate Justice, Marvic M.B.F. Leonen, Associate Justice, Alfredo Benjamines Cagiwa, Associate Justice, Alexander G. Gesmundo, Associate Justice, Ramon Paul R. Hernando, Associate Justice, Rosemary D. Carandang, Associate Justice, Ami C. Lazaro Javier, Associate Justice, Henry John Paul B. Inting, Associate Justice, Rodil V. Zalameda, Associate Justice, Mario V. Lopez, Associate Justice, Edgardo Ed de los Santos, Associate Justice, Samuel H. K. Irlan, Associate Justice, Ricardo R. Rosario, Associate Justice, Joseph Y. Lopez, Associate Justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Justice Alex. I will now read my 100-page separate opinion. No, I'm just kidding. But before we go to the last presenter and the last token, I was informed that there is a surprise number. May I now therefore ask the honoree to kindly sit down and enjoy this surprise number. Thank you very much. Are we waiting for Justice Audrey to render a song? Hindi na. Okay. So, those were the songs, Paano Kita Mapapasalamatan. I think the Chief will address that to everybody. No, I'm sorry. The first song is Sana Wala Nang Wakas. I think that is being addressed to his beloved wife. The second song is Paano Kita Mapapasalamatan. I think that is for everybody. And the third song is a tango, Por Una Cabeza. We would like to thank the children of the Chief and Justice Audrey. Attorney Dorothy was on flute. Mr. John Christopher was on piano. Mr. Timothy John was on violin. And the other violin was his youngest son, John Isaac. Now to proceed to the last token. A shortened introduction of the next presenter does injustice. A leader, a scholar, a negotiator, a counselor, a colleague, a mother, a sister, an empowered significant other, and hopefully soonest, a grandmother. She has brought the court together during many difficult times in her own way. Her scholarly opinions now mark a significant landscape of our jurisprudence. May I now call on the Honorable Senior Associate Justice, Madam Justice Estela M. Perlas Bernabe, to present the Chief Justice Jose Abad Santos Award.
Thank you, Justice Marvick. It is my distinct honor and privilege to present the Chief Justice Jose Abad Santos Award to the Honorable Diosdado M. Peralta on the occasion of his retirement as Chief Justice of the Philippines. The life of former Chief Justice Jose Abad Santos is depicted in this eponymous trophy to be awarded to our honoree. Chief Justice Abad Santos, hailed as the counselor of the nation, is remembered for serving in the country with utmost dedication, honor, and patriotism. The award stands for the leadership, patriotism, and valor he exuded. It constantly inspires magistrates and leaders to uphold the rule of law, promote the welfare of the country, and protect public interest. Such timeless virtues have marked our honoree's work and service. He has devoted nearly 34 years in the legal profession, first as a fiscal, then a trial court judge, then as presiding justice of the Sandigan Bayan, and finally as the Chief Justice of this court. Through all this, our honoree has exhibited dedication to the pursuit of public interest and welfare. Let me now read the inscription. The Chief Justice Jose Abad Santos Award is presented to Honorable Diosdado M. Peralta, Chief Justice, for his exceptional honor, wisdom, and courage in selfless pursuit of truth and justice as a supreme sacrifice of service to God and nation, given this 25th day of March 2021 at Manila, Philippines. And now, my tribute to the Chief. Chief, it is no small feat. The Chief Justice Peralta has faithfully and conscientiously served the legal profession for 34 years and the government for 40 years. His ascension as top magistrate of the land is truly a fitting end to his illustrious career. We all know that very early in his term, he had to guide the judiciary through an unprecedented public health crisis that profoundly impacted every organization, business community, and government entity. However, our Chief Justice decisively rose to the occasion, resulting into the timely issuance of the necessary rules and guidelines to ensure the continued functioning of our courts. Indeed, throughout the various quarantine periods, the wheels of justice never stopped grinding as the court, through its leadership, has continuously explored innovative means and technological advancements in order to adapt to the new normal in dispensing justice. But more than his preeminent role throughout this pandemic, our Chief Justice has perennially exhibited his brilliance, competence, and dedication in the field of procedure and remedial law. He is indeed a valiant reformist through and through. Truly, the entire legal profession has duly benefited from the procedural breakthroughs he has initiated, defended, and passionately advocated, among others, the acclaimed rules on continuous trial in criminal cases. And for his life's work and service, I add my voice to the many others who express their resounding gratitude for all of our Chief Justice's invaluable contributions to the judiciary and the collective pursuit of meaningful justice and the rule of law in our country. Even as he hangs his black robe, I am sure that our Chief Justice's passion for judicial reform will continue to burn. As he himself promised during last Monday's flag-raising ceremony, he will always be available to help the country in any way. Chief Justice Dado, you can be sure we will take you up on that offer. And as such, this will not be goodbye, but till we work together again. It is my prayer that the good Lord will continue to keep you steadfast and immovable, and to provide you with strength for his abounding work. And may this next chapter of your life allow you to enjoy the love of your family and friends even more. Congratulations, Chief.
Thank you, Senior Associate Justice Telly. Thank you to all my colleagues. Now we move towards the traditional unveiling of the portrait of the retiring Chief Justice. May I ask the family of Chief Justice Diosdado Peralta to join him across the bar. May I suggest the family to remove their masks? For posterity po. Thank you. Thank you to the family of the Chief Justice, Justice Audrey, and your children. And now we hear from the Honoree himself. Your Excellencies, Your Honors, friends, the Chief Justice of the Republic of the Philippines, Diosdado M. Peralta.
Thank you. Please take your seats. May I be allowed to remove my mask? Anyway, I'm far from you. My wife, Justice Fernanda Lampas Peralta, and our children, Attorney Dorothy, our twin boys, John Christopher, Timothy John, and John Isaac. My mother, who is celebrating his 95th birthday this year, Mrs. Catalina Madarang Peralta. So purpose came here in Manila to attend my retirement. My only sister, Visha Marie, and her husband, Attorney Cornelio Aldon, and my brother, Dr. Vicente, who flew from California to attend my retirement today. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, those who are present here and those who are joining us online. A pleasant morning to all of you. May it please the court. I am most grateful for your presence today, be it physical or virtual. And I am honored by the kind and generous words that were said about me and my judicial career by my fellow magistrates. Thank you. The fact that you went out of your way to attend today's special and bank session, in spite of the limitations posed by our current circumstances, humbles me to no end. Tomorrow, after 1 year and 5 months in office, I officially discharge my last duties and responsibilities as Chief Justice of the Republic of the Philippines. As I prepare for that part of my life that waits for me beyond my career in the judiciary, I cannot help but reflect on my life's work and feel a more than a bit modest amount of pride. That I'm ending my government service at the helm of the judiciary and the Supreme Court is to me a recognition not only of my achievements, but more so of my industry and passion for my work. When I was interviewed by the Judicial and Bar Council in connection with my nomination as 26th Chief Justice, I became emotional. I was asked to say my parting words. I let my guard down and open up. I was not a bar-top notcher or an honor student, I said. That is the truth. Unlike most Chief Justices before me, I was not an academic standout. But I also said then that I truly believed that the collective body of work that I did as a public prosecutor, as a judge, as an associate justice, and as presiding justice of the Sandigan Bayan, and as associate justice of the Supreme Court was more than enough to compensate for that. When I was conferred a Doctor of Laws honoris causa by the Tarlac State University last February, I said that my path as a lawyer and as a public servant has taught me one thing. One's success in life is directly proportional to one's industry and dedication to his or her work. And I say this from experience. One may be the most naturally talented individual or the most mentally astute person in his or her class. But without persistent, constant hard work and discipline, such talent or intellect will amount to nothing. It will amount to mere potential. One must not only dream, but act on and work for that dream too. You can find talent anywhere, but it's only in those who have it in them to succeed in life that the value of hard work presents itself. Consequently, by the time I was up for Chief Justiceship, I knew that what I am seemingly lacked in academic accomplishments, I made up for with my determination. The same holds true until now. I am amongst my colleagues today as a member of the Supreme Court because of the work ethic I developed and the genuine passion for my work, which I nurtured all my years of serving both the private and the public sector. My life experience have taught me that in life, the key to success is doing one's best in any undertaking one commits oneself to. I can say with all honesty that in all of my professional life, I have constantly put in honest and hard work in every task I have been given. I have worked for a private company, been a full-time working student, served as a public prosecutor, taught in law schools, sat as a trial court judge, and served as a magistrate of the anti-graft court and of the high court. Through the years, I developed a solid work ethic and a genuine passion for my craft, which made me realize that in life, no matter the adversity one is faced with, one must always persevere, no matter his or her circumstances. After all, there is no substitute for hard work except harder work. Those who know me and who have worked with me can probably attest to the fact that once I commit myself to a certain undertaking, I am almost always compelled to exert whatever effort is necessary to learn, to improve, and to be good at my work. This I do not just for my own benefit, but also for the welfare of the others. Here in the Supreme Court, this mentality manifests in being mindful that justice is not just some intangible concept that is left to the discernment of the members of the bench. Justice is something that must be felt firsthand by the people. This authentic perception of justice is something that only those of us in the government can give the people. And we need to give it to them swiftly and sensibly, as the strength of the justice system can only be gauged in terms of the trust we earn from the public. It is because of this that I made it clear in October 2019 that I wanted my term as Chief Justice to be anchored on the decongestion of court dockets, the adoption of reforms that would streamline court proceedings and processes, and the promotion of a disciplined and responsive judiciary. I thus drew up my 10-point program for judiciary, comprising of judicial reforms that were focused on efficiency, integrity, security, and service within the courts. To reiterate, these reforms are, number one, the elimination of the backlog of the Supreme Court and all other courts. Number two, the continuous revision of the rules of court and other procedural rules, as well as better emphasis on skills-based training for judges and court personnel. Number 3, the automation of court processes and incorporation of court technology in hearings and trials, the weeding out of misfits in the judiciary, the strengthening of the office of the court administrator so as to effectively address the concerns of the lower courts, the improvement of the security of our justices, judges, and the halls of justice. Number 7, the setting up of 24/7 help desk in the Supreme Court. Number 8, the monitoring of the performance of all courts as regards the observation of reglementary periods within which to resolve pending incidents. Number 9, the improvement of procurement and bidding processes in the judiciary. And number 10, the creation of a strategic planning and management unit under the Supreme Court's Program Management Office. I am delighted to report that in just a year and a half's time, and in spite of the numerous challenges the courts face and are still facing because of the COVID-19 pandemic, almost all of the items in my 10-point program have already been realized. The Supreme Court has made use of the advantages of technology in the conduct of hearings and trials nationwide through video conferencing, e-warrant, e-filing, and e-payment, to name a few. We could not have predicted how quickly we would see progress on some landmark information and communications technology projects under the Court's Enterprise Information System Plan, or EISP. These include the approval and the development of the Judiciary e-payment solution and the deployment of Philippine Judiciary 365, a modern workplace solution which is being utilized as the official electronic communications platform of the entire judiciary in the receiving of pleadings and other court submissions online and in the conduct of video conference hearings. At this point, I am pleased to note that from May 4, 2020 to March 12, 2021, the total number of video conference hearings conducted reached 222,767 with a success rate of 88%. This has also resulted in the release of at least 132,795 persons deprived of liberty from March 17, 2020 to March 19, 2021, or roughly 1 year. Additionally, the Court's Committee on Computerization had just submitted to the Supreme Court and NBank for its study and approval the e-Court version 2.0 project plan. This is one of the Court's initiatives which aims to utilize technology in developing a unified, comprehensive, and intelligent case management system for the entire judiciary from the first and second level courts all the way to the Supreme Court. Suffice it to say, we have turned this COVID crisis into an opportunity for digital transformation in the courts, and I am confident the judiciary will remain steadfast and engaged in this area. As regards the revisions and crafting of rules, the Supreme Court has formulated and approved a total of 18 procedural rules and guidelines meant to improve the administration of justice. In turn, the Philippine Judicial Academy has conducted the pertinent workshop seminars to orient our justices, judges, and court personnel as to the salient features of these rules and guidelines. We have likewise adopted mechanisms such as the small claims monitoring system and the continuous trial monitoring system in order to determine the competence of our judges in resolving cases within the constitutional reglementary periods. To receive, address, and monitor the complaints of court users and the general public against the members of the bar and court personnel, the Supreme Court has established the Judiciary Public Assistance Section, or JPAS, which from its inception on December 9, 2019, up to March 15, 2021, has received and acted upon a total of 8,680 inquiries and concerns through via email, letters, phone calls, and text messages and walk-in queries. As a means to battle the perception and occurrence of corruption in the judiciary, the Court has established the Judicial Integrity Board to receive and act on administrative complaints against erring justices, judges, and employees of the judiciary. The court has also streamlined the plantilla of its various offices, divisions, and services in order to guarantee the security of tenure and regularization of hundreds of long-time casual employees, and created permanent procurement offices in the courts to expedite the acquisition of necessary office supplies and services. While there is no denying that the past year has been a most difficult one for all of us, I am constrained to say that in spite of the adversities you are facing, this experience forces us to tap into our inner strengths and show gratitude for our blessings. It has forced us to do our best to align our personal and professional interests with those of the people whom we serve. When I spoke before the alumni of the Philippine Military Academy last month as their guest of honor and speaker, I emphasized that it's during these trying times when our work as public servants require much more from us, when our commitment to protecting the life and liberties of those in need is necessarily tested by the unfamiliar circumstances we are dealing with. Now, more than ever, we must work together as the concept of nation building takes on an unprecedented meaning. At this juncture, please allow me to acknowledge the people who have had the good fortune of crossing paths with at one point or another in my life. There are those who have supported, inspired me in the discharge of my sworn duties and professional responsibilities. My sincerest gratitude and appreciation to my colleagues, the Honorable Justices of the Supreme Court, retired and incumbent, whom I had the honor of working with for the past 12 years. I thank you for the knowledge and experiences I have gained from you all as we work together in the discharge of our administrative and adjudicative duties, be it in our en banc and division deliberations in our committee works. I will forever treasure the camaraderie, the cerebral exchange, and the mutual respect that we have for one another. I thank the employees of the Supreme Court and of the entire judiciary for the trust and confidence they have in me and for the privilege of working with and for them. Their hard work and efforts in ensuring that access to judicial service remains unhampered in spite of our circumstances have always been sources of comfort for me. Needless to say, I am very much grateful to members of the legal and the administrative staff of the Chief Justice. Where are they? They are there. My second family. Yes. Without whose assistance and competence, I would have had a most difficult time achieving my plans for the court. A special mention goes to my two justice staff heads, the hardworking and the dependable Attorney Rap Jerome Salvador. Yes. And my daughter, the equally hardworking and efficient Attorney Dorothy L. Peralta, for assisting me in my day-to-day work, sometimes even going above and beyond the call of duty. I also appreciate the full support and cooperation of the chiefs and heads of the various offices. Where are they? The divisions and services of the Supreme Court in the implementation of my 10-point program and in managing the concerns of the entire judiciary. Saan kayo? Oh, nandun sila. My gratitude to the Office of the Court Administrator, led by Court Administrator Rosemaidas Marquez, and the Deputy Court Administrators and Assistant Court Administrators for their invaluable help in the management of lower courts nationwide and for their assistance in drafting administrative circulars meant to protect the safety and well-being of court employees and court users especially during this public health crisis. Saan yung mga court act? To the en-banc clerk of court, Attorney Edgar O. Aricheta, who is retiring tomorrow, the deputy clerks of court and the division clerks of court, yes. My heartfelt appreciation for their proper handling of adjudicative and administrative court matters. I also would like to acknowledge the people I met and worked with through my successive roles in public service, the prosecutor's office in my hometown of Lawag and here in Manila, Branch 95 of the Regional Trial Court of Quezon City, the justices, officials, and employees of the Sandigan Bayan, and of course the men and women of the Supreme Court. It was through the privilege of working with all of you that I was inspired to spare no effort and work hard to excel in my chosen path. Thank you. I am equally grateful to the academic communities of the Colegio de San Juan de Letran and the University of Santo Tomas Faculty of Civil Law. I would not be who and where I am today if not for the educational groundwork and the values instilled in me by my alma maters. Both have been instrumental in molding my attitude not only towards my work, but also towards the people I work and interact with. I extend my gratitude to Secretary Silvestre Bello, then Undersecretary of Justice, who gave me the privilege and honor to be assigned as a prosecutor in Manila, then known to be a premier assignment for judges and prosecutors. And to Senator Franklin M. Drilon, then the Secretary of Justice, who, in spite of having hardly known me, recognizing my performance as a prosecutor and recommending my promotion in the prosecution service to the office of the President. Even after not having had any constant communication with him, Senator Drilon, as Vice Chairperson then of the Judicial and Bar Council, strongly recommended me to the post of Regional Trial Court Judge in Quezon City. In addition, Senator Drilon, together with his colleagues in the Senate, especially the chairpersons of the Appropriations Committee, should full support for the fiduciary needs of the judiciary in all the budget hearings I attended from 2012 to 2020. Likewise, I express my deepest gratitude to the members of the House of Representatives, led by its successive speakers in its Appropriations Committee, for the early approval of our yearly budget. To the late President Corazon Aquino, for the 5 appointments to different ranks that I received as a public prosecutor under her term, beginning as a prosecutor in Lawag in 1987, then as a prosecutor in Manila from 1988 to 1994, to former President Fidel Ramos for giving me the chance to serve the judiciary when appointed me to the Regional Trial Court of Quezon City, Branch 95, in September 1994, to former President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo for the 3 presidential appointments she extended me as an Associate Justice of the Sandigan Bayan in June 2002, then as its Presiding Justice in March 2008, until my appointment in January 2009 as an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. And to the President, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, for having appointed me as 26th Chief Justice of the Philippines in October 2019, signifying his trust and confidence in me in spite of my admission in my JBC interview that I was neither a bar-top notcher or an honor student. Recognition goes to my former colleagues in the House of Representatives Electoral Tribunal, HRET, especially during the 17th Congress, when I served as chairperson until my appointment as Chief Justice. It was an exceptional feat that the HRET was able to decide all protests and quo warranto cases pending before the tribunal before its term ended in June 2019. I also wish to thank the members of the Senate, especially Senator Richard Gordon, Chairperson of the Senate Justice and Human Rights Committee, and the House of Representatives, led by the Chairperson of its Committee on Justice, Congressman Vicente S.E. Veloso III for their support for the creation of the Philippine Judicial Marshal Service and for the court's proposal to expand the jurisdiction of the first-level courts with the call of declogging the dockets of the second-level courts and eventually the declogging of the dockets of the Supreme Court. I understand that I are now in the course of finishing the processes required for the bill's presentation in their plenary session. Much gratitude also goes to the following: to the Judicial and Bar Council, Honorable Menardo I. Guevara of the Department of Justice, Honorable Richard J. Gordon of the Senate of the Philippines, Honorable Vicente S. E. Veloso of the House of Representatives, Honorable Jose C. Mendoza, retired SC Justice, representing the retired Justice of the Supreme Court, Honorable Toribio Ilaw Jr., representing the private sector, Honorable Noel G. Tiham, retired SC Justice, representing the academe, and Honorable Franklin J. de Monteverde, representing the Integrated Bar of the Philippines, for the cooperation they extended during my tenure as ex officio chairperson and for their prompt action in the processing of nominations for the various positions in the judiciary. To the Philippine Judicial Academy, PhilJA, led by the exceptional Chancellor Adolfo Ascona and the Vice Chancellor, the Honorable Mariano del Castillo, for instituting reforms and organizing the various training programs intended to develop the skills of judges and court personnel, thus helping them expedite the conduct of trials and the resolution of cases. To the Judicial Integrity Board, led by its chairperson, retired Supreme Court Justice, and PhilJA Vice Chancellor, Honorable Romeo Callejo Sr., and its Vice Chairperson, retired Supreme Court Justice, Honorable Angelina Sandoval Gutierrez, for extending their cooperation in the realization of the establishment of the court's own anti-corruption body. To the officers and members of the Supreme Court's Ladies' Circle, the heart of the Supreme Court, led by its able president, my wife, Justice Fernanda Lampas Peralta, for being tireless partners of the court in providing support and encouragement to its employees through its promotion of mental health awareness, sponsorship of livelihood projects, and conduct of timely social welfare initiatives. To the justices, judges, prosecutors, private practitioners, and government lawyers who serve as members and resource persons of the various committees of the court, who I have had the opportunity to work with, whose input and knowledge contributed to the adoption and success of the court's procedural reform and information technology projects. To the development partners of the Supreme Court, starting with the International Initiative for Impact Evaluation, the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade of the Australian Government, and the Innovation of Poverty Action, IPA, for their conduct and support of the impact evaluation of the three core reform projects of the Supreme Court, the e-court program, the revised guidelines for continuous trial of criminal cases, the rules of procedure for small claims cases. Based on the report they submitted to the Supreme Court in September 2020, the court was informed that the stakeholder judges and clerks of court largely felt significant and unprecedented the improvement of court operations and the efficiency of court processes with the implementation of these three projects. To the European Union, through Governance in Justice, GOJUST program, for its valuable help in the fulfillment of the court's judicial reform programs for the past several years. To the United States Department of Justice Criminal Division, through its Office of Overseas Prosecutorial Development, Assistance and Training, for its immense contribution to the judiciary by helping enhance the justice sector's capabilities on cybercrime and counterterrorism, among others, through the conduct of training programs, seminars, and knowledge-sharing activities. To the USAID, the American Bar Association, Rule of Law Initiative, and the Asia Foundation for their technical support in the judicial strengthening to increase court effectiveness justice project, which aim to improve judicial efficiency through court decongestion projects, and to the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, for its continuing support to the reform initiatives of the court. Of course, I would like to recognize and honor my family, starting with my father, the late Judge Elviro Lasso Peralta, who I had always admired and looked up to, and my mother, Catalina Madarang Peralta, from whom I learned the value of self-reliance. They taught me discipline, and were the ones who instilled in me the value of hard work that is the foundation of my entire professional career. I owe everything to them. To my siblings, the late Franklin, my only sister, Visha Marie, and her husband, and Attorney Cornelio Aldon, and my youngest brother, a physician. They have always been my sources of comfort. To the wind beneath my wings, my lovely and brilliant wife, the Honorable Fernanda Lampas Peralta, Associate Justice of the Court of Appeals, my only daughter, Attorney Dorothy, my twin sons, John Christopher and Timothy John, and my youngest, John Isaac. Behind every person's success is the love, understanding, and support of his or her family. I have been very blessed in this aspect to have a supportive wife who is my partner in all my personal and professional undertakings, and the love and understanding of our 4 children. All the things I have accomplished and been given would amount to nothing without them. Lastly, I give my thanks to the Almighty God, the ultimate source of all my strength and my passion to live and lead for others. I pray that He will continue to bless me and my family in the years to come. I will leave the Supreme Court without any regret, knowing that I did all that I could for the law, for the courts, for the nation, and with the conviction that I did my best in performing my bounden duty to the Constitution. I have faith in the thought that I gave my all in giving the Filipino people the kind of justice that they deserve. Given every challenge and difficulty that the judiciary faced these past months, I believe I have done everything with my authority as Chief Justice to leave behind a better and improved judiciary. I have led and lived by example. I look forward to the world outside the Supreme Court with the thought that at my age, life is still full of possibilities. Muli, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. May God bless us all. Mabuhay ang Supreme Court, mabuhay ang judiciary, mabuhay ang justices, mabuhay tayong lahat. Salamat po.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Much like the seasons, the continuing orbit of the earth around the sun, the only permanent phenomenon in this life is impermanence. Like the wind, we will come and go, but the seeds we scatter along the way will take root and grow. This is how we will be remembered, not by our corporeal existence, but by the many stories we live in the heart of those whose lives we have touched. As magistrates, some of our words will echo beyond our retirement. Our dream is that the legacy we leave behind will make the institutions we have worked with and lead better, more relevant, with its spirit carried on by generations to come. Mr. Chief Justice Diosdado Peralta, Manong, we will carry on. We know that many of our people still suffer. Poverty, inequality, injustice is still in our midst. We will not flinch. We will judiciously, deliberately, and strategically use our privilege as the highest court of this land to lend succor to those who deserve it and contribute to a democracy where it is the rule of law, not the rule of the powerful, that will prevail. In a few days, you can now rest. Be assured that you have shared in the evolution of this court. We will miss many, many things about you. Personally, I am anxious because I will not get to bother the next Chief Justice as much as I had had the privilege to bother you. Personally, I am also truly honored that you chose me to do this for you. But know this, we got this. Mr. Chief Justice, Your Honor, Manong, with leave of the Senior Associate Justice and the Associate Justices of the Supreme Court, I now speak for this court to say, a job well done. Thank you. Maraming salamat. Agyaman kami. With leave of Your Honors, may I now ask the Chief Justice to resume leadership of this court and take his place at the high bench. But before I yield, may I ask the Public Information Office to take a screenshot of the video conference galley for posterity. May I ask everyone to kindly unmute your video feeds? And upon my signal, when the Public Information Office is ready,
Ready po, Justices?
can you take a photo?
One, two, one, two, three. Last one, 1, 2, 3. Thank you po.
Thank you. I now yield the floor to His Honor, the Chief Justice.
There being no other matter to be taken up in this special and back session, the special session is hereby adjourned.